Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I'm here to talk about Bassil Hafez versus Della Madellena. I think the world of Della Madellena. He's morphed into an incredible fighter, lost his first two fights as a pro, and then beat the shit out of everyone else, including the guy that beat him in his debut. And he avenged that loss by steamrolling the guy, really. Made him quit almost. And now in the UFC, he's on a tear. He's gone through so many good fighters and made every one of them look pretty easy, aside from the Angelusa fight. But still, that was not that difficult. But hasn't faced too much adversity. But what adversity he has faced, it's been nothing for him. He was in a really tight choke against Ramazan Amiev, really, really tight choke, and was putting him away like 30 seconds later. So Della Madellena, he's an offensive force. Really good. Once he ups the volume, once he, steps into the fight a little bit, he's got good volume, got really good power, and more important than any of that is his shot placement. This guy will rip you to the body when you least expect it, which is when you least want it to happen, and he will make you pay anywhere you're vulnerable on the feet. So he should win this fight like he should have beaten Josiah Harrell, who, by the way, I really hope Josiah is doing all right. I don't know if you guys heard about that whole thing, but the UFC's MRI spotted I don't know why I walked into this when I didn't have all the facts, but something was going on with his brain, and I wish him well. Sounds like it would have been shitty if he fought, so I'm glad they spotted it. Bassil Hafez, though, that's really the story of this video, because we all know Della Madellena by now. Bassil Hafez is 8-3-1 as a pro, 31 years old, and he's the same height as Della Madellena. He's a guy that has one TKO victory, really it's a knockout, 4 submission victories, and 3 decisions. Sherdog has him with one like DQ or something, but there is no DQ. He has 4 submissions and 3 decisions. And his 3 losses all come via decision. And the one draw he has is against Jeremiah Wells, who's currently in the UFC and kicking some ass. So that was a really great fight early on. And to be honest, I thought he won that fight. I don't know how the fuck it was scored a draw. It must have been where there was a 10-10 round, because there was no 10-8. And it also must have been where they made a mistake, because they read it as a 29-28 draw. That was the third card. Just fucking stupid. But either way, he's lost 3 times. I've seen one of them. This guy, Evan Cutts, really good fighter, beat him in a 5-round decision, and it was because he faded. He faded after going through every submission in the book early in the first few rounds and dominating the grappling, and then towards the end, he started being dominated. And he couldn't get out, let his back get taken multiple times, and he was just clearly fatigued. But he still went 5 rounds, which showed some grit there, because that guy Cutts is not a shit fighter. And speaking of which, he avenged that loss to Evan Cutts, knocked him out in the 3rd round in his last one. One of them was for Cage Fury, the other one was for whatever the fuck, but they were both title fights, and each guy took the other guy's title. And then he lost 2 decisions earlier on, one to this guy Richard Williams, who hasn't fought since, and I saw an interview with Bassil where he said it was bullshit. It was a bullshit fight that happened in Aruba. So I guess he said he beat the shit out of the guy. And then this other one to D'Alonzo Jackson. That was 7 years ago. And even though I haven't seen it, I saw an interview where he said, Bassil said that he really didn't show up for that fight. So it sounds like, I don't know. Either way, I don't want to discredit this guy Jackson. Whatever happened, happened. But still, the fact that he lost by decision all 3 times, I'd say this guy's pretty durable. And I saw him visibly gassed for multiple rounds in that 5-rounder with Evan Cutts, and he didn't go anywhere. And in the rematch, by the way, he beat him up badly. Knocked him down a few times, and then eventually knocked him out with a right hook. Before that, he beat Anthony Ivy. That was 2 fights ago. Anthony Ivy, former UFC fighter. That was I don't know what the hell I just wrote down. Draw? Maybe that was a split decision. He won. He beat Anthony Ivy, and again, he largely out-grappled him, and if you thought he was starting to fade, which he might have been, he kept himself in the fight. He's definitely a good fighter, Bassil Hafez. He's got good enough striking. He fights like Hafez fights southpaw, Hafez fights orthodox, but he seems comfortable every which way. When he's orthodox, he'll probably throw a lot more spinning attacks and shit. But really, it's all a means to an end, I believe, with him. Aside from in his last fight, but which was the knockout. But really, he wants to get the fight to the ground, which is good. He's just, he's got to get Jack Della Madellena to the ground, probably. I mean, he could crack him, of course, but generally speaking, he doesn't want to be on the feet with Jack. Can Bassil do it? Sure, he probably can. Am I picking it? No, I'm not. He's never been finished, which bodes well for him, but he's been out-wrestled a few times. He's been, he doesn't have the most dominant wrestling. And as far as his chain wrestling, because Jack Della Madellena is certainly good enough to stop that shot, I have to see more from Bassil Hafez. I just think he's really going to run into a wall here in Jack Della Madellena. Maybe he'll get him down early. Maybe he'll have some success pressuring him. But eventually, especially considering the short notice, I imagine Jack Della Madellena tames him and gets him out of there down the stretch. And you know how this goes. Every bet of mine will be on Bassil Hafez. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.